Hey friends, Ash here with Gents, and today I'm coming at you with 5 designer fragrances that will set you apart from the crowd. Probably. Basically, what these fragrances are potential compliment pulling fragrances, again, designers, that are going to be different than what the majority of people out there are wearing. We're talking about your Bleu de Chanel's, your Dior Sauvages, your Yves Saint Laurent Y's, your Paco Rabanne Invictuses, things like that. These fragrances that I have picked out for you here are going to be maybe a little lesser known, lesser worn types of scents, other than maybe if you're a big fragrance aficionado. Now, these are not what I would call hidden gems necessarily. Maybe you might call 1 or 2 of them hidden gems. But these are not fragrances that are hyped on the level of those scents that I just mentioned. They don't have sales numbers on the level of those fragrances that I just mentioned. Most of these fragrances are going to be better suited for cooler weather, so wintertime and fall time, which does make sense because as I'm filming this, it's at the end of January. So you'll probably see this around the beginning of February. And assuming that you're in the northern hemisphere, that means it's still cold outside. Though I do have one fragrance in here that I think is better suited for springtime or maybe summertime. Got a lot to talk about, 5 different fragrances to go over, so let's jump into this. First off, let's talk about this fragrance from Roberto Cavalli, Deep Desire. This is the newest in the Cavalli Uomo line. So that includes Cavalli Uomo, Uomo Silver Essence, Uomo La Notte, and this one, Deep Desire. I did do a first impression on this fragrance when I first got this one in. I wasn't blown away initially, but it has grown on me over time. I still think that La Notte is my favorite from the entire line, but Deep Desire is very solid in its own right. It has cinnamon, cedar, saffron, and orange as some of the notes in the fragrance. Another fragrance that uses cinnamon and orange that's extremely popular is Paco Rabanne 1 Million. So that may be a fragrance that would go up against this one. I will say that 1 Million is more youthful, much louder, and overall a better clubbing fragrance than Deep Desire. But Deep Desire has more versatility on the whole. This one's a big compliment pulling kind of fragrance, better suited for cool weather, one that you could use daytime or nighttime. You could use it on a date. You could use this in a club, though. Again, it's not going to be as loud as something like 1 Million or Versace Eros or Paco Rabanne Invictus or any of those really big, well-known clubbing fragrances. Since this is a Cavalli fragrance, it's very affordable, assuming that you pick it up from discounters. Not many people are going to be wearing this fragrance. The presentation on this one is very nice as well. I think the bottle looks fantastic. And again, you can pick this up typically in that $30 to $40 range. This is going to be for people that do like a sweet spiciness to their fragrances with a little bit of a woody base. It's not hyper masculine because it does have that sweetness, but it comes across very well. As I said before a couple of times, it's very versatile. It's potentially a compliment pulling kind of fragrance. And let's be real, not many people out there outside of big fragrance people are gonna be wearing Cavalli fragrances. So if you're wearing this, chances are you're gonna be the only one wherever you are wearing this fragrance. And that's gonna help set you apart a little bit more. So there's my first choice, Cavalli Uomo Deep Desire. Next up is a fragrance from Versace that I've talked about numerous times on this channel. It's an oud fragrance, so you probably immediately know what this is, and it's a great beginner's oud fragrance in my opinion. It's this one, Versace Oud Noir. This one gets compared most often to Tom Ford Oud Wood. Now there is a similarity between Oud Noir and Tom Ford Oud Wood, which in its own right is a great beginner's oud fragrance as well. This one has oud, saffron, black pepper, cardamom, and olibanum as some of the notes, and Oud Noir does share a number of notes with Oud Wood, so it's not really a big surprise that there's a similarity there. But as they dry down, those two fragrances, Oud Noir and Oud Wood, do go in different directions. Oud Wood does have many more woody notes in the fragrance. There's sandalwood in there, there's vetiver, there's, I believe, rosewood in Tom Ford Oud Wood, whereas Oud Noir, wood-wise, is concentrated around the oud. It does have a good amount of sweetness in here, some spiciness as well. It's dark, but at the same time inviting. And this one actually is one that I have worn in almost any situation you can think of other than middle of summer. I think you can wear it formally, casually. I've worn it to the office numerous times. You can wear it during the day. You can wear it especially at night. It's actually a little bit better suited for night overall. As I said, it's a good beginner's oud fragrance. The oud here is not funky, animalic, fecal, too in your face or anything like that. It's got that sweet spice that works in with it that makes it just much more approachable and, as I said, versatile. And that's another fragrance that really not many people are going to be wearing unless you are into fragrances and know about it, because Versace Oud Noir is not going to be found as many places as fragrances like Versace Signature or Versace Eau Fraiche or Dylan Blue. As far as your Versace fragrances go that are not in the Atelier Versace collection, their high-end collection, this one is going to be one of the lesser known, which gives it a bit more exclusivity. And this one also can be found at discounters for a good price. So there's a lot to like about this fragrance. I had to include that one to give a little shake up here, add an oud fragrance into the mix. And Versace Oud Noir is a great fragrance, I think, in general. It does have some similarities to Versace Man, which is a fragrance that has been discontinued, but with that one being harder and harder to find, essentially the best place to find it at this point is Fragrance X as a tester until they sell out. Talking about Versace Man, not Oud Noir. I think Versace Oud Noir is the better bet over Versace Man. Plus, the presentation in Versace Oud Noir is light years better than Versace Man, in my opinion. This looks extremely classy. Next up, a fragrance that you can get for a very good price from discounters, which I guess these first three have all had that in common. This one is actually from a car company, but their fragrances are very highly regarded. And this one is Bentley for Men Absolute. This is actually the newest fragrance, at least in terms of my collection, out of this bunch. This one I got as a gift from my friend Studio Scents. He got it for my birthday. He thought that I would really love it, and I do. It's got oud in here, just like Oud Noir, though this one is not really an oud forward fragrance. There's also cypriol, cedar, and sandalwood in here. This one gets compared to Gucci Pour Homme 1, the discontinued Gucci that almost everybody seems to cherish. Bentley for Men Absolute also has olibanum in here, which is going to give it kind of an incensey vibe. And I have compared this one side by side with Gucci Pour Homme 1. The Gucci is a higher quality fragrance. I'll just say that straight out. I think the Gucci is better. But as far as alternatives that are not going to break the bank, that's going to give you something that smells quite similar, going to give you a very similar feel, similar vibe, can't go wrong with this one. The performance here is good. The quality is good. I mean, Gucci Pour Homme 1 is considered a masterpiece by most people out there that have owned it in the past or own it currently in their collection. So, I mean, it's not really taking a shot at this fragrance to say it's not quite as good as Gucci Pour Homme 1. I just want to make sure that I'm clear about that. This one is going to be for the people out there that very much adore woody fragrances, masculine woody fragrances with a good amount of incense that's going to cut through the cold. As I said before, the Bentley for Men line of fragrances is extremely high quality. Bentley for Men Intense is a fragrance that people hold almost up on a pedestal as one of the best cheapies that you can buy. And that's another fragrance that's extremely masculine. And if you're a beginner to fragrances, it might turn you off a little bit. In my opinion, for Men Absolute is a little more wearable, a little more versatile than for Men Intense. So that one is the third one on the list. Bentley for Men Absolute. Very good quality on this fragrance. Similarity to Gucci Pour Homme 1. Gonna kill it in cool weather. Fall and winter time, it's a winner. Although, and I say this every time, I think the bottle design a little bit weird just because the atomizer is so tiny with this huge bottle. I brought that up in the first impression with this that I did not that long ago. It's just, it looks kind of goofy. I have to show you this again because I mean, it really does. It looks like this enormous guy with a tiny head. It's gonna take me to the fourth one in this list. This one is from Hugo Boss. It is their newest fragrance in their The Scent line. The Scent, when it first came out, the Scent Eau de Toilette, it got a lot of hate online, a lot of hate actually initially. People slowly warmed up to it a little bit, but then the flankers started to come out and people were like, wait a sec, I think I like these. And that really hit a fever pitch, I think, with the Scent Private Accord. That's my personal favorite of the line. And I know a lot of you out there like that one as well. At that point, people started to look at the Scent line, and I hate saying that, the Scent line, but they started looking at it in a little bit of a different light. They said, you know, these might be okay sometimes. And the one I'm gonna talk about today is this one, the Scent Absolute. This one has Meninka, ginger, and vetiver. That's some of the notes in the fragrance. The Meninka note in here is gonna be the common denominator across the entire The Scent line. So the Meninka is gonna give you an exotic, fruity sweetness that's dusty at the same time. It has this pronounced sort of dustiness to it. Ginger is used often in the opening of these as well, gives it a little bit of fresh briskness, a bit of pop in the opening, and this one includes vetiver in the base as it dries down. As I said before, Private Accord is my favorite in the Scent line. I think that one is just the best for me personally. I like the way the coffee comes across in it. The Parfum edition is very good as well in the Scent line. That one has an iris note, though some people don't like iris. They find it a little too feminine. Personally, I think that one is very good as well, and I'm thinking about reviewing that in the near future. But this one, with the vetiver that's used along with the Meninka, gives it a lot of versatility, which is something that a lot of these fragrances, or maybe all these fragrances actually, have in common. The vetiver here gives it a nice masculine edge. It makes it where you could wear this in casual situations or formal situations if you wanted to, and it's an easy wear at the office as well. It is a little better suited for cool weather than it is warm weather, but this one I think you could potentially pull off in springtime as well, assuming you like the fragrance and want to wear it during the spring. Which, if you don't like the fragrance, then why would you wear it at all? So yeah, I guess you can wear it in spring is what I'm trying to say. The Meninka fruit though is a note that may need to grow on you a little bit. I know the first time that I smelled the Scent Eau de Toilette, I wasn't a huge fan of the Meninka. But then as time went on and more flankers and more flankers and more flankers came out, I knew what to expect from it, and I grew to like it. And I like how Hugo Boss will take different notes and work it in with that Meninka fruit and kind of reinvent how the fragrance comes out. I know that my friend George at the Fragrance Apprentice thinks that this is the best from the Scent line. I've actually heard from a few people that think that way. As I said before, Private Accord is my personal favorite, but I see where this one can get a lot of use from a lot of people, really turn heads, and potentially pull compliments as well, because trust me, not many people out there are gonna smell like this at all, unless they're wearing this fragrance. And last up is a fragrance that actually was hyped in the community a lot in 2016 and 2017. It's from Versace. It is not their Tuscan leather clone, which is what you may have been thinking. You may have been thinking I was going to say La Yucawan, but this one is actually Intiba. Now, if you look up the notes breakdown for Intiba on Fragrantica.com, it is wrong. It's actually not really all that close at all. This one does have an interesting note breakdown as well. There are some different ones in here. There's plum, pineapple, praline, and vanilla as some of the notes. So you really might think, well, what does it smell like then? Because that's different than most of the other fragrances out there. It actually has a fairly strong similarity to Creed Silver Mountain Water, especially off the top. When you first spray it on, or if you smell it from the atomizer, you definitely pick up that Silver Mountain Water vibe. A lot of people have actually described it as Silver Mountain Water mixed with a little bit of red wine. So that gives you kind of an idea of how this one comes across. It's gonna be good for springtime, good for summertime, especially during the day. Though, like with Silver Mountain Water, if you find that one to be a little too cloying for high heat, this one might be a little too cloying in the middle of summer for you as well, especially with that additional wine sort of vibe. Great for casual wear though, something that you could potentially wear to the office as long as you don't mind a bit of sweetness in your office fragrances. Not really something that I think of as a formal scent though. And this is another one, like all the others, that you can pick up for a pretty good price, assuming that you find it at discounters. The performance on this one is very good for me as well. Don't really have issues with that whatsoever. Solid fragrance though. The bottle is a little bit unassuming, not the best looking presentation on earth. If you look on the inside, there's actually a little sentence there for you, which I guess is supposed to get you psyched for this fragrance. It says, "First impression lasts forever." First impression lasts forever. And there it is for you guys right there. Beautiful. And this one is one that I think will definitely set you apart from the typical crowd out there. The Sauvages, the Bleu de Chanels, the Ys, the Invictus, the 1 Million, you know the drill. Obviously it does have a bit of that Silver Mountain Water vibe, but again, realistically, not that many people out there are wearing Silver Mountain Water, and even fewer people out there are wearing a Versace fragrance that gives you a similar Silver Mountain Water vibe, only with kind of a red wine aftertaste. And that one is the last one on this list of 5 fragrances that you can wear that will set you apart from the crowd. If you've smelled or worn any of these 5 fragrances, let me know what you think about them in the comments below. As always, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and thanks for all of your support. I'll see you all again tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys. That was a weird face I made.